Phew. Oh, that was intense. That was a very, very intense game. But my goodness, the mighty Aston Villa came through like the heroes that we are. Professor Unai's men came through with a 2-1 victory against Leicester. But my goodness, that was intense. That was full on. Please remember to like and subscribe. Subscribe if you love the mighty Villa. And if you have an opinion on anything, if you differ in views with what I say or whatever, comment down below and let's have a good old chat. Now, I sort of need to catch my breath a bit from that. It was a really stressful game, I thought. A bit of a seesaw game, back and forth. Leicester had most of the possession. We talked, we did the preview and we looked back when Steve Cooper's Nottingham Forest played Aston Villa last season and they won 2-0 at the City Ground. And if you remember in that game, Forest started very, very quick and they got an early goal and then they sort of went into a defensive shape for the rest of the game and Villa dominated and couldn't create a chance and Forest ended up getting a second. It was it was similar today in the sense that Leicester started very, very fast. And in the previous two games they've played a 4-2-3-1 against Spurs and they played 3-4-3 against Fulham away last week. They went with almost both formations today, really. In the first half, it was 3 at the back. And I think for the first 20 minutes, I think having the momentum of the crowd behind them, I think being high energy, I think it was just a very even start. I think it was very back and forth. I don't think either side were able to take control really until about the 20th minute when I think Aston Villa's central areas started to impose themselves very, very gradually. The loss of Leon Bailey early in the game was, significant. Jacob Ramsey came on, and I thought Jacob Ramsey was excellent. I think his direct movement, he looks so confident at the moment, having been out for pretty much a year, but bar one or two little spells where he came back. He looks incredibly sharp and confident and physical. It's just that physicality he has. Villa look a very physical side right now. And so, yeah, I think he made a big difference actually when he came on. But I think the central areas is where we started to take control from about the 20th minute. And I thought Tielemans, let me know what you thought, but I thought technically, I thought he was absolutely amazing. I thought that his ability to retain the ball in really tight spaces, to retain the ball under pressure with his back to goal or facing Villa's goal or whatever it is he was doing, it felt like he always was able to move the ball manipulate the ball in a direction that would win him a little bit of extra space and get the ball out, basically. And I think that having him there in the centre made a big difference because I think I look at Leicester and we talked in the preview about, the lineup they had against Spurs and they were killed by Spurs for 60 minutes, but they worked their way back into the game. So, they showed they're a very resilient side and at home they are going to pick up points this season because they showed they can do it against Spurs, fought back from being, battered for 60 minutes by Spurs. And then against Aston Villa, they made it really hard for us as well. And I think it's testament to how good Villa are that we got to win there. I think there's going to be a fair few teams this season that don't have it easy there. But, I look at their team and I think we talked in the preview about Buonanotte being a kind of a ball manipulator playing as a sort of second striker or in a 4-2-3-1, maybe just off the striker a little bit deeper. And I was quite surprised he didn't start because I think having Ndidi, Winks and Skip, again, I mentioned they might do that in the preview and I thought the reason I sort of wrote that off is because I thought it'd be a little bit too cumbersome. In fairness, it was high energy and it didn't make life easy for us, but I still think it was a little bit defensive. And I just wondered if Buonanotte had been on a bit longer, whether that might have shifted the game a bit for Leicester. But that said, I think Villa took control in the centre. And then, Austin McPhee, in the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf the Wise, all the bloody hobbits in the world, all the riders of Rohan or the Gondor, Helm's Deep, wherever, they all look at Gandalf and go, that man is a wizard. That man can conjure magic in a way that nobody else can. The magic that Austin McPhee has been conjuring with set pieces since he came into Villa, the goals we score from set pieces have gone up since he came in. And the goal today was absolutely creative brilliance. It was a brilliant, brilliant set piece. Ramsey with that direct physical run, getting in there. I think it was Tielemans who took the free kick, and that ball across from Ramsey. He did the same 2 weeks ago for Jhon Durán at West Ham, getting that assist. He got his second assist today with a very similar pass, direct across the box. And there's Amadou Onana. Again, having those big, long legs. He can stretch out. He got the ball. Goal. 2 goals for Onana, 2 assists for Jacob Ramsey so far this season. Lovely stuff. But there were 1 or 2 things where I think you can't. I mean, look, you can't write off Leicester. I think I think they made life hard for Villa today. And I think towards the end of the first half, I think it felt a little bit like the West Ham game where the opposition, where Villa had gained momentum, we kind of allowed the opposition back into the game a bit. And it just felt a bit like, oh, I wouldn't mind halftime coming now. That being said, it didn't really feel like Leicester created too many chances in the first half. Did they create any? I think Christiansen getting down. We mentioned it again in the preview because he did it against Spurs for their goal. It was Christiansen getting down the left and knocking it in. I thought Bailey v Christiansen would be a key duel today, but obviously Bailey got injured very early on, so that didn't come to be. But I think Christiansen caused a few problems going down the left. I think Fatawu got into the game. Very gifted young player, and he was winning fouls. I think David Coop, referee, he just emanates a man who doesn't seem very sure of himself. And I think a lot of bookings today, I think some were deserved. I think Onana's booking was stupid in the 7th minute, but 1 or 2 others felt a bit weak. And I'm looking at the number of players who got booked today, and I think, I don't think that many should have got it, but whatever. And the problem is when you have a referee who's like that, it actually emanates into the players and they start to react to it and become more tetchy themselves. Disrupts the game. Anyway, whatever. Second half, I think Villa again, I think it was a bit back and forth. I think we eventually took a bit of control again when I think Barkley came onto the pitch. I thought Ross Barkley was excellent in the sort of cameo that he had, the 25 minutes he was on for. The goal that we scored, another brilliant goal, it came about because Barkley came on and Villa had not been working anything going forward well at all. We were constantly giving it away. I thought Morgan Rogers looked off it today. I just think we weren't holding on to the ball in places where we should have done. I think Onana picked up a knock, so he was starting to look lethargic and look bad in the second half. But when Barkley came on, Villa started weaving passes again. And the goal that we scored came about because the first move came from Barkley, and that eventually making a pass eventually works its way all the way to Ramsey knocking the ball across the area. No one's there. You're thinking, damn, why was no one there for that? Comes back to Barkley again. Same thing again. Same sort of maneuver out to the left. And Luca Dean with a great ball in. But Jhon Durán, that was an absolutely outstanding header. All is forgiven, Jhon Durán. 6 points this season because of that man. There are scouts in European football, I know this for a fact, who think that Jhon Durán could end up being the best striker in the world. I have heard this said. It's a big, big statement to say that, but the games he's played so far this season, he already looks a more complete player than he did last season. I think at times last season he'd come on the pitch and he'd kind of he'd drift around. He wouldn't be as involved, but he'd be physically imposing. He'd do a lot of good things, but he just wasn't he looked like he had flaws in his game. This season, he looks like he's gone up a level. I don't know. He didn't really have a preseason with Villa. He was out in the Copa America with Colombia. So I don't really know where this has come from, but maybe those 2 goals at the end of last season against Liverpool made him more confident. But the goal he scored against West Ham away was a fantastic work move, and it was great striker play to be aware of where to be and finish superb. Today, the header, the movement away from the defenders and then arching his neck to knock it over the keeper, that header was so difficult. It was such a difficult skill to pull off. absolutely amazing goal. Two goals. My outside bet at the start of the season, two of them were Ange Postecoglou doesn't last the season at Spurs, and the other one was that Jhon Durán scores 10 to 15 goals in the Premier League. He's shown all the signs he can do that. Two brilliant goals from this season. And I think later in the game as well, there were one or two moments where he won the ball, stood up to physical defenders like a Coley, I think his name was. One or two moments where he linked up the play, tried to find a pass through, and he just seems very aware of players around him in a way I don't think he did last season. Villa have a really talented player, and there was one moment as well where the ball came into him where he's back to goal. Okoli's marking him, and it's a period of time where Leicester had a lot of the upward trajectory a lot of upward momentum in the game. His ability to hold that ball, turn, and then shoot, it was a great effort. And it's a really hard skill for a striker to put. Top strikers can do that in the Premier League. Really top strikers can hold off a really physical defender, turn them, and then take a snapshot. And if that goes in, game over, really. You've got to praise him. Whatever it is off the pitch that hasn't been pleasing the folks at Villa, whatever it is, all Jhon Durán can do is behave himself at training or whatever, but keep scoring goals and keep performing the way he's doing, because I thought he was fantastic when he came on. I really do. And then look, I think at right back, Lamar Bogarde, I think you can see Bogarde is a very talented player, and there were one or two moments today where he stood up really well. I think he made one or two good challenges. There were one or two occasions where he showed that he's actually able to take the ball, and he's got good vision for a pass. One or two ambitious passes he made that actually came off really well. And one or two moments where he actually broke forward 5 yards, got past his man and found a pass. But there were moments where you could see his, lack of experience. One or two passes did go awry through the game. And then when Mavididi, is it? Mavididi came on. Just did him, didn't he, for the goal? He just... To be fair, you could argue he probably was tired. He came off shortly after that, having had cramp. So he probably was just knackered. First Premier League game, mental and physical exhaustion of that, the pressure of it, it is going to get to you. But I think there were signs there that there's something to build on here. Matty Cash is out for a month. So Bogarde, Nedeljkovic are both going to play a lot in the first half of the season, you would assume, given... the options we have at the back. And I think that take the negatives and they just can grow from it. And I think Nedeljkovic, if you look at him, when he came on against West Ham, he looked nervous. But I think against Arsenal, you saw again, he did really well against Martinelli. And there were one or two signs where he did well going forward. He got a bit of a lesson off Trossard. Emery himself said he has a lot to learn tactically, because of course he does. He's 18. But I thought today when he came on, he looked more solid. Mavididi suddenly didn't really do much. And I think that whenever Nedeljkovic got the ball today, I think that his distribution was good. He didn't really do anything wrong. And there was one occasion where I think Mavididi tried to get beyond him. And I think if that had been Bogarde, that tiredness, I think Mavididi would have got past him and then had an acre of space to run into. Whereas Nedeljkovic, with his pace, kept up with him, got the ball out. And I stood up and I cheered it like a goal. Cheered it. If you look at some of the random stats, 58% possession to Leicester, 42 to the Villa. We had 5 on target. They had 3 on target. Their pass accuracy was better. We had 21 fouls to their 13. I think the way to say it is that I think we just had a bit more quality off the bench. I think a lot of our bench players made a difference. As I said, I think Barkley was excellent when he came on. I think Jacob Ramsey was really good when he came on. It's a shame he kind of had to go off. And I think Jhon Durán made a huge difference. That bench depth made a huge difference. And I think Nedeljkovic made a difference as well when he came on for Bogarde. The annoying thing is the goals we're conceding. We've conceded 4 goals already this season. We're still leaking goals, and it is going to cost us. I don't know. I don't really know what more you can say. I mean, we all know that Villa have been conceding goals since probably about January last season is when we started to get a bit more leaky, it felt like, and we're continuing to do that. So it's just something we're going to have to improve at, basically. But look, a win is a win. I think Leicester showed against Villa and Tottenham that they've got a bit about them, that they've got players who can cause others problems. They just have to not allow these losses to get into their heads that they've had, and just keep going, because they play the way they did against Spurs and Villa, they're going to beat a fair few teams at the King Power this season. But with Aston Villa, we showed, what a top team we are, that we've gone away to 2 hard away days. That with Leicester, a team who took it to us and played a formation that maybe caught us out a bit. And with in the first half at least, and then with going away to West Ham as well, playing a team who were very, very, have a lot of good players, top manager in Lopetegui, we've gone away and won them, and the subs made the difference in both games. So now let's just go and get the home win. And it was crucial we won today, because the pressure is on us to get points in the next few games. Our fixtures are good. Leicester, and now what follows, Everton at home, and a couple of others where you look at and think they're games we should aim to get maximum points in. If we can, what a start to the season that would be. What a start to the season in our quest to get top 4, win the league, win a trophy again this season. What a win. Thank you, Jhon Durán. Up the mighty Villa.